What's up, everybody? It's Viren here, and we are back with another Siege video. We're going to see who we get. Wisdom and Nucking Futz. We actually lost our last Siege, and because it's early season, we went from like rank 16 to rank 71, so it's G2. We'll look through. We have some Harmonia Vigor Kinky, some Nana Perna, some Kark Miles Triana, Clara Tessa Sav, Theo Perna, and Harmonia Vigor Skullgirl. So let's get into it. We're going to go ahead and try and hit this one. We're going to go into this first hit here. It's a Harmonia Vigor Kinky. This defense used to be really popular a couple seasons ago. I think the most tested counter ended up being a wind damage dealer with a Triana and a Cha-Cha. Typically, you'll see like Fuko, Logan, Reyes are all really common. And then ideally here, you actually want Triana also on Destroy on a CD build because this defense is going to fully funnel into the Cha-Cha, except for the Harmonia, who's not going to do a ton of damage. And you're basically just looking to kill the Vigor as quickly as possible, then the Harmonia, and then have the Kinky for last. The buffs to Logan and Fuko make them really good here. I just had Reyes already built on this account, so I went with him. But we're looking to avoid, I think, the main loss condition here is a Harmonia swap into getting someone low and having a retarget or an AoE from the Kinky, potentially really messing you up. I really want to get the skill 3 to get the attack buff and the speed buff going on my my offense. I got to time it right with the Triana. Ideally, you just have the Triana move slightly in front, so you can get that immunity up and you don't even get that slight bit of defense break. But I realized that I was going to move before the full defense went, so I could cleanse the defense break before the Kinky went. And here I'm trying to decide if I'm able to kill this Vigor, and we barely miss. But luckily we actually get an extra proc, and there down goes the Vigor. And from here, we're just going to be able to slowly work down the rest of the defense pretty easily. And there we go. We actually killed the Kinky first because we landed a defense break with the Cha-Cha swap and cleaning up the rest of this attack pretty easily. We're going to go in and hit this defense actually again. And again, I don't have very many dupes built out yet, so we're actually going in with a completely different offense, which is Commune, Elucia, Vigor. This is a slight variation on a pretty popular offense that you see a lot, which is Commune, Lorne, Elucia. The Vigor one, I think, is a lot safer because you just bring a lot more sustain. But this isn't, I would say this is not as good as the Cha-Cha comps because you're mostly funneling the defense into your Commune, so having him tank here is a little harder because you're basically relying on the Commune passive shield, which isn't as effective in keeping the Kinky from destroying the HP and the Vigor from destroying your HP as the Cha-Cha revenges. And you're also not funneling the Kinky at all, so if the Kinky moves in front of the Vigor, or if you cleanse the defense break off the Commune, you can get Kinky pulled onto one of your water units. But basically, the key to making this work is you want to have a max accuracy Elucia. So we're going to be using skill 2 every time it's up on the Harmonia to keep that supped as much as possible. And then I started off skill wanting the Kinky here. It's been a while since I've hit this. I actually prefer to keep the Vigor locked down second. I think it's much better to be skill 1ing with Elucia into the Vigor because the Vigor getting the speed buff up is going to be what enables the Harmonia to get out of the sleep. You see it procced there. We got a swap, which is really scary in these offenses. But I think if we had locked down the Vigor, it would have taken longer for that to happen. And over time, it's going to be a lot safer. But we're able to recover here. We almost killed the Vigor. Again, it's not going to go super fast because we're basically dealing with Vigor damage, some already damage from Elucia, and then Commune is on crit rate, but he's not going to be critting reliably into water. But similar to the other offense, we're going to work down this Vigor as fast as possible, and then kind of move on from there. It's really common to see max res Kinkies. So again, like one mistake I see a lot with these Elucia builds is not being high accuracy. The skill 3 can't be resisted, so you can just get max accuracy with including a skill 1 accuracy artifact, but I didn't have a good one here, so I just ran an accuracy slot 6, and I think there we're able to finally finish off that Vigor, and then the rest of this cleanup should be pretty easy again. And again, we're able to super enable this by having that accuracy on the Elucia to keep the Kinky lockdown. You can see here we are able to freeze him pretty much repeatedly and keep all of our units at full health. And there we go. Next, we're going to go into a Theo, Perna, and Shazam. We're going to take a Bulwark Amelia Windy, and actually, like, right after I did this hit, I rebuilt my Bulwark. It's just not tanky enough. It ended up being okay here. But yeah, the build was just super old here. And the idea is that there's not a ton of sustain on this team. And also, the only thing that is kind of scary is if we get the Amelia in human form, defense broken or branded or nuked down. But there's only the defense break from the Shazam and the Theo on the skill 2, and we're running max res on the 2 water units, and Windy obviously can't be defense broken. This defense, I think it's pretty likely that they're not super high accuracy, so the res will end up being pretty valuable, I think. And we're just trying to work down this Shazam as much as possible. I might spread out some of these hits in order to just get slow debuffs to stop the defense from doing as much damage. We have a lot of control here. The way that we'll end up losing is either a bad set of procs or a defense break and a bad timing. We went into pony form there because I thought it was more likely to actually get the kill, but it didn't, unfortunately. But we'll still be able to work this down, I think. We're getting lots of freezes on the Shazam. The sustain from the Perna is not that high, and these units just aren't doing that much damage, so we're going to be able to sustain this out. Get another 5-stack suck on the Bulwark, and then again, just keep working down this light beast monk. Spreading out some of the hits again, just to make sure that I'm not going to get super nuked. And then I think here we'll have the hit from the Perna, giving me back my 5 stacks to finish off the Shazam. And then once we finish this off, it's pretty easy to just go ahead and work through all of these other units. And there we go, killing off the Perna last, able to get this win in the bag. We're going into this Chandra Veronica Nora defense. I'm actually really excited. I just built a new Julie today. I was just messing around with the Julie that I had for like my Dragons team, which was not correctly built for a Julie offense, and was really happy actually with the Julie I was able to make on this account. So we see one will unit. We're able to move entirely in front of their defense. We actually kill the Nora through will, and then it's going to be super easy to clean up this Chandra in the end here. We actually just kill with the skill 1. And there we go, new Julie paying off. Then we're going to hit this Miang Escher Kinky. This is like a weird defense. I feel like usually you see Miang Cichlid and then one of these light units. Again, I'm like really low on dupes, so we ended up going with this double to I forget what the family's Vagabond team. But the basic idea that I had here is that with a dark tank and 2 wind units, you can completely funnel the defense. So everything is going to be hitting the Jubel. Jubel gains attack bar whenever he's not crit, and he reduces the crit chance. So kinking hitting him with the double attacks on skill 1 is actually going to give him a lot of attack bar. I basically just took my Talc set and moved it over, which is a like very low speed energy build, like energy guard will or something like that. And then we have Roy just on a 239's crit rate build, and we actually ran a max accuracy Delphoy here to be able to Oblivion the Kinky in the end so that we were able to kill this. I think that this offense was okay. We ended up getting a lot of procs here and it made it look really easy. The Kinky also got a lot of procs in the beginning, and the thing though is like when you run Cha-Cha on these offenses, Cha-Cha also brings a lot of sustain. Delphoy I don't think was quite enough sustain there. I think with a couple more procs or not getting procs on my side, it would have gone poorly. We're going to go into this Theo Perna Cichlid with a Tractor Windy Camila. We're running a Vampire Tractor in this case. You probably could also run a Vampire Windy if you're scared, but basically just 3 units that either can't be defense broken or are hard to defense break. A lot of self-sustain with Camilla passive, the Vampire on the Tractor, and the Windy Shield. And we're going to kind of feel this out a little bit to see who's squishy. I think I would prefer to kill the Theo first because he's the most scary in terms of damage. But we also want to be just aware of, like, we don't want to pop the Endure and the Adact buff and then he procs and kills everything. And also because we have a fair amount of sustain on our team and the offense has a lot more damage than us, we're kind of spreading out some hits at the beginning here to try and get slows on everything with the Windy and use some stuns on different things as well. I think I also throw out a bunch of skill ones in the Camila into the Perna, just fishing. If I saw a cooldown reset, I would go for it. But then again, I don't know if that completely made sense because it would do the same thing into the Theo. But yeah, killing the Theo first because it's the scariest. Um, Everything's looking pretty healthy here. I think that these builds ended up being, like, you can tell that it's taking me a long time to work down these things, even though I'm actually a fairly high damage build on a lot of these units. So there's definitely decently high tankiness in these builds, but we're eventually able to work down that Theo. I think maybe just one more hit here, and there we go. Biggest damage is gone, and we will be able to clean this up pretty easily for our next win. Going into what I think has been one of the more common defenses of the season so far, this is a hit I did last siege too, which is the Luis Hagang Bellus into Clara Sav Tessa. I moved these runes around a little bit. I actually haven't left this defense or this offense permanently ruined, and so I switched up every time. It's partially because I'm stealing some runes from an offense or from a defense in order to make it work. And this is actually the exact same thing that happened to me last siege, where the Hey Gang doesn't get stripped, but everything else does. It gets pushed in front. We still use our skills anyways. We get that immunity up too, so the Savannah doesn't do anything. And this seemed like really, really high damage units because my Bellus just, like, even without the defense break, is ripping through that Savannah. The Clara is already almost dead. We're getting lots of stuns. Uh, and yeah, everything is going pretty good here, even though that first skill through from the Bellus wasn't able to defense break or do anything to that Savannah. And yeah, looking good. We should be able to clean up here and get our next win. We're going to go right back into the same defense with another offense that I don't like quite as much, but especially because we didn't really do, I would say, like, great builds here. We have a Tessarian, Lulu, Yanha, or when we have the Tessas on defense, so the runes are kind of set for that. And then we wanted to make the Lulu be like 60 res, so that it would be max res with the lead, but we were actually rushing to get this hit in, and I didn't have a build ready, so I think we ended up going with like 45 res plus 41, which puts us near max, but it's not quite. But the Windstring Master was tuned towards that. But the idea here is that we can mostly funnel the AI into the Windstring, and then Tessa can just kill stuff, and we have a lot of sustain from the Lulu. Unfortunately, at the beginning, the Sav S3 defense broke the Tessa and not anything else, so the defense went fully into my Tessa, which was pretty scary. It almost got one-shot right at the beginning, but as soon as we're able to recover a bit from that, this offense ends up being really safe. Our Lulu is plenty tanky. The defense breaks are only going to go into the wind string from now on, and we should be able to very easily bruise this out. All right, we're going to hit this Theo Perna Cichlid again. We have Gildy, who was in here with Rena Belial stalled out against the Perna, and I decided to put him out of his misery. We went in with just a CP cleave. This is not super great here. There's some risk inherent in this, and that you're obviously doing a CP cleave into a Perna who could go crazy. And also, you could push pushbacks, you could run into a Swift Shicklid, but we got pretty lucky here. We actually somehow managed to reset the Perna with CP, but we missed the reset on the Theo, but ended up making it really clean. Didn't have to kill the Perna twice. And for our last hit, we are going to go in with this Praline double snipe into Carcano, Volantis, Manon. I'm remembering this time that we need to make sure that Bethany moves first so we can kill the Manon, who's a defense-based unit, with the Bethany and not the Sonya, because the Sonya has the attack condition much higher than the enemy's defense. So we snipe the Manon, and then we snipe the Volantis. And it's right about here where I realized that we slightly messed up in that the Bethany had the lowest HP on the team, so the defense break, even though everything was at full HP, went into the Bethany, and Carcano's immediately going to that. And I'm starting to be pretty nervous because if this thing dies first, we now have 2 win units versus the Carcano, which is scary. And also that Carcano procced the first time, but luckily we managed to land the stun through element disadvantage, and then Sonya will still have her passive. So you can see here we get a glance from the Carcano, and we actually end up critting on our second S2 to finish that off and get our 10 wins. All right, well that's it for this one. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.